For over 3 years, the U.S. government has stopped migrants in the U.S. Mexico border, including those seeking asylum. This was done through a public emergency health order known as Title 42. Although a lot of people consider the action the very height of cruelty, it wasn't without a significant reason. Launched by the Trump administration and continued under the Biden administration, Title 42 has been a subject of controversy and different court rulings. But its reign is about to come to an end. So, what is Title 42? In this video is all you need to know about the law. Prior to commencing, please ensure to click the like and subscribe buttons to stay up to date with the newest content. Let's begin. Title 42 is a part of the Public Health Service Act of 1944, whose aim is preventing the spread of communicable diseases in the country. This is how it operates. According to the law, whenever the director of the Center for Disease Control sees that there is a communicable disease in another country, it lies with the health officials to protect the U.S. To be able to do that, they are given authority to stop the introduction of persons and property from affected countries or places for as long as they deem necessary. But this cannot happen without the president's approval. Before now, we only heard about something similar in history books. Like when it was approved in 1893 during a cholera epidemic, and in 1929 to stop people coming from China and the Philippines during a meningitis outbreak. But a few years ago, new pages were added to history as the law was activated again. Why did this happen? Well, the COVID-19 pandemic did not just cause a global economic shutdown, it also invoked buried and long-forgotten processes. Title 42 was only one of them. The Trump administration employed Title 42 as a way to help stop the spread of COVID-19 in immigrant detention centers, where many migrants are lodged after they arrive at the U.S. Mexico border. Apparently, a report had it that a senior advisor to former President Donald Trump had pushed the idea to invoke Title 42 in the U.S. Mexico border since 2018, long before the COVID-19 pandemic became known. At that time, the federal government was not convinced on the need to activate the law. But as we all know, when it is a matter of life and death, every rule becomes bendable. Little wonder as the COVID-19 cases rose in the country, the then CDC Director Robert Redfield enacted Title 42 to seal the land borders with Canada and Mexico for migrants seeking asylum. This happened on March 20th, 2020. Surprisingly, the rule didn't go unopposed as the CDC executives went ahead to enact Title 42, even though CDC scientists said there was no evidence that it would slow the virus's spread in the U.S. Before Title 42 came alive, migrants could easily cross illegally, ask for asylum and be allowed into the U.S., after which they were screened and often released to wait out their immigration cases. But with the new order, everything changed. Under Title 42, migrants were returned over the border and denied the right to seek asylum. In fact, U.S. officials turned away migrants more than 2.8 million times. Except, of course, families and children who traveled. But there was a big hole in the plan which made the new order a huge task. The government did not spell out consequences for the people who still tried to illegally cross the border in spite of the new rule. So many of them tried to get into the country again and again with the hope that they just might get lucky one day. Initially, after President Joe Biden took office, he left the Title 42 as ground rule, but later tried to put an end to its use in 2022. But Republicans didn't have it easy. They sued and argued, claiming that the restrictions were necessary for border security and to contain the coronavirus, even though the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said there was no public health basis to continue expelling migrants. So the court had no choice but to keep the rules in place due to an order from a federal judge in Louisiana who agreed to a request from Republican-led states to block the policy's termination on technical grounds. But while Republicans were still rejoicing, President Biden came up with another plan. In 2023, it was announced that all national COVID-19 emergencies were to be stopped, and border restrictions were not an exception. No doubt the expiration of the pandemic-era public health restriction will significantly alter the U.S. immigration policy. It is even more interesting that an estimated tens of thousands of migrants are already near the U.S. Mexico border, waiting for when the Title 42 lift will take full effect. Now that the restriction has been lifted, we do know that other interesting events will follow. But what we don't know is if the government is prepared. Let's see what could happen from now. Title 8 will come back into play. A lot of people have questioned the effectiveness of Title 42 because while it allowed border authorities to swiftly turn away migrants at the U.S. Mexico border and making the claim for asylum impossible, the Title 42 also bore zero legal consequences for migrants crossing, meaning if they were pushed back, they could try to cross again multiple times, and no doubt some ended up lucky. But now that Title 42 has lifted, the U.S. government is returning to the decades-old section of U.S. Code known as Title 8. While this order would be more permissive to the request for asylum, experts say it would carry actual and, unfortunately, severe consequences for migrants found to be entering the country without a legal basis. In fact, the Biden administration has said it will try its best to stop people from paying smuggling duties and making dangerous and often deadly journeys to make it to the U.S. To achieve this, it has put together a series of new policies cracking down on illegal crossings. Now, illegal immigrants will not get away with it, as those caught will not be allowed to return for 5 years and can face criminal prosecution if they do. In addition to that, new asylum rules are being put in place. These rules will largely bar migrants who pass through another country from seeking asylum in the U.S. The rule will presume migrants are ineligible for asylum in the U.S. if they didn't first seek refuge in a country they transited through, like Mexico, on the way to the border. Only migrants who secure an appointment through the CBP One app will be exempted. Also, if migrants are found ineligible for asylum, they would be removed through the speedy deportation process, known as expedited removal, that would bar them from the U.S. for 5 years. Now, this particular one will shock you. The administration also plans to return Cubans, Venezuelans, Haitians, and Nicaraguans to Mexico if they cross the border unlawfully, making it the first time the U.S. will send non-Mexican nationals back across the border. Although the new asylum rule seems fair enough, it is already facing a legal challenge. Immigrant advocacy groups have begun filing lawsuits in an effort to block the policy. The Biden administration's new ban places vulnerable asylum seekers in grave danger and violates U.S. asylum laws. We've been down this road before with Trump, came Katrina Island, managing attorney with the ACLU Immigrants' Rights Project, in a statement. The asylum bans were cruel and illegal then, and nothing has changed now, she concluded. But the Biden administration maintains that the new rules are for the benefit of all. To stress this, senior administration officials went on to say that the actions are necessary to encourage people to use lawful pathways to come to the U.S., adding that eligibility has been made easy for migrants, such as parole programs for eligible nationalities to apply to enter the U.S., and expanding access to an app for migrants to make an appointment to present themselves at a port of entry. But yet again, the advocates retorted. The lawsuit, filed in federal court in the Northern District of California, cites issues with the CBP One app used for scheduling asylum appointments, including some migrants' lack of resources to get a smartphone and the absence of adequate internet access to use the app, along with language and literacy barriers. So, to solve that, the State Department plans to open about 100 regional processing centers in the Western Hemisphere where migrants can apply to come to the U.S. Besides all the creativity put in place to ensure migrants do not have to smuggle in, the most interesting part of the new policy seems to be the consequences. In fact, a senior administration official called the consequences robust, making many wonder how the new face of immigration will look like. The countdown to the implementation of the canceled Title 42 order has begun. While we wait, do subscribe to this channel to get updates. Also, please drop your comments in the comments section below. And don't forget to like this video. See you.